Hello, and my name is Sanjib Sengupta. I am a Vice President in Technology at Visa. Over the next few minutes, as I see it from my personal vantage point, I'll talk about the future of money or the ever changing landscape of the consumer payment options and preferences, and this global phenomenon of the move to go digital as well as regional over just the traditional payment methods like card and cash. Outside of just transacting in cash, payment methods and consumer preferences vary by region. Later on, we'll see some of the new trends that we are seeing now and will continue to emerge in the next few years. Currently, in the North American region, approximately 300 million shop online or at the retail, where credit, debit cards have been the predominant option of choice for the consumers. Card networks like Visa and MasterCard dominate this with more than three quarters of the payment transactions running on its rails. Europe continues to pursue the goal of a single digital market with a more stringent security regulation around revised payment services directive, or easily called as PSD2. Within the different countries in Europe, outside of the card networks like Visa and MasterCard, regional bank cards, online banking, and direct debits are more preferred. In Latin America, where the online market is dominated by Brazil, almost 80% of payment transactions are made in installments and using credit cards. Unlike US, use of debit cards are pretty low in this region. A prominent regional payment method is a cash-based app called Boleto Bancario. Mexico, on the other hand, has a similar distribution along with a big surge in mobile app-based payments. Asia Pacific is the most diverse region with 7 to 8 of the world's 10 most populous countries. Not surprisingly, it's also one of the most fragmented regions when it comes to payments. China, which is the biggest retail e-commerce market, has three dominant payment methods: an alternate payment method Alipay, regional card scheme UnionPay, and the fastest growing one in WeChat Pay. India, which has been traditionally a cash dominated economy, there is a significant growth in digital commerce led by government supported RuPay and UPI, and also by global card networks like Visa and MasterCard. The natural progression of the future of money to be more digitized was definitely accelerated by the global pandemic that we saw over the last 24 months and continue to see in many regions. The COVID-19 pandemic changed many aspects of life in last 2 years, 20 and 21. How consumers made payments is no exception. While the usage of cash has been reducing by a few percentage points every year, it did go down more significantly in the last 2 years. The decline in the percentage of cash being used as the payment instrument is larger than any other payment instrument over the last 2 years. Now, cash still has its place, even in countries like US or Europe, and it's used regularly by all demographics for low amount purchases, tips, fast food, gas. But there are many regions in this world where a vast majority of its people are unbanked, which is one of the biggest challenges, as well as opportunity for local as well as global institutions to digitize the economy. The transformation of a consumer payment preference has already been a long journey, and the biggest uptake has been the usage of regional branded and global card brands like Visa and MasterCard, among others. While this continues to evolve, with 2021 being the first time where there was a dip in just base credit card transactions, that with the advent of other payment methods like wallets, the global commerce is still dominated by credit and debit cards. And just to give some fun stats or facts of the proliferation of a card network like Visa. There are over 3.7 billion credit and debit cards currently in use globally that are accepted over 100 million locations worldwide. A network like Visa is scaled at 65,000 payment transactions a second to account for this usage globally. And even within the patterns of credit and debit cards, it's interesting to see how a consumer preference has changed from a traditional swipe, to a chip, and the tap to pay, which has gone from 0 to 70% in just the last 5 years. Let's take a quick look at the basic credit card payment ecosystem. Many of you guys might be familiar with the various integration points, but let's just go over that in the next few minutes. When it comes to processing a payment using a credit card, there are various parties involved. And while it may look very simple experience for the users, you and me, the card networks have really invested, engineered, and scaled this ecosystem to make it almost always successful and within a few tenths of milliseconds. There are three distinct stages of this transaction process: the authorization, the clearing, and settlement. The submission or authorization piece is more of a validation of the card being used and the presence of funds on that card. A card network like a Visa or MasterCard or others connects the merchant bank, which is the bank the merchant has an account with the issuer bank, which is the bank that issues the card to the end consumer. It's the issuer that can either approve or decline this transaction, and the merchant bank or a payment gateway, for online purchases, passes this information back to the merchant online or through the point of sale device. As part of this clearing and settlement process, transaction information flows from the acquirers to the issuers for posting back to the cardholders' accounts. And these are the end of the day statements or end of month statements that me, you, everyone, sometimes are not too happy to see, I guess, based on our purchasing habits. Settlement is the exchange of funds between a card issuer and an acquiring bank to complete a clear transaction, and the reimbursement of a merchant for the amount of each card sale that has been submitted into the network. So next time you guys shop online or at a POS device at a store, if you don't know already, think about all the hops with the right encryption and security the card and the payment data needs to make for you to be able to buy the goods that you're looking for. The natural process of digitization of the economy has been accelerated by the global pandemic seen over the last 2 years. As merchants and consumers turn to e-commerce and digital shopping habits, digital payment adoption continues to increase. A digital payment in simplest terms, is a transfer of money or digital currency from one account to another using digital payment technologies. Let's look at the current landscape of the payment methods that will continue to compete to surge ahead as the preferred choice of payments by the consumers. With the shift to online shopping continuing to accelerate, electronic payment methods are forcing stakeholders to re-evaluate their strategies. Unlike electronic payments, include bank transfers, e-checks, any BNPL solutions, which is buy now and pay later. With the global surge in smartphones and tablets, mobile digital payment apps are one of the hottest commodities that allow transfer of funds to an individual or a company. This trend of one of the newer players in global economy will only increase in years to come. An example of these mobile-based payment apps are WeChat Pay, Venmo, and Zelle, etc. And I'm hoping most of you guys use one or many of these apps for any payment or commerce needs. There's also another sector, that is mobile wallets, which hold the card information of the user on a mobile device that can be used seamlessly to make a purchase. Consumers are increasingly turning towards this, as it's easy to use. It's just in your wallet. Just easy for your phone to take out and scan it, and it is much less risky from a fraud perspective. And some of the most popular options include Apple Pay, Google Pay, Samsung Pay. And I'm not picking any favorites here, but these are the ones that are dominating this mobile wallet industry. The adoption of contactless payment methods, touch free digital payment methods that use radio frequency identification or near field communication for making transactions rose during this pandemic due to health restrictions and safety precautions. While the card networks are still the backbone for this payment methods, it's interesting to see the transition, as I was earlier saying, of the way consumers use a card from swipe to a chip insert to now being mostly contactless. Open banking platforms enables financial institutions, fintechs, merchants to build financial products and services to move money. Through open banking APIs, institutions like a Tink or a Plaid enables its consumers to move money, access aggregated financial data, and use smart financial services such as risk insights and account verifications. Card networks like Visa and MasterCard are partnering with various of these open banking platforms to combine the existing financial network that has been built over years with open banking capabilities. Finally, as one of the most recent forms of payment method, blockchain, which is one of the most widely used forms of concept of a distributed ledger. Without going into all the details of the technology in the simplest forms, blockchain is a chain of blocks which has its own cryptographic hash. And in the context of a payment industry, any new payment transaction is like adding a new block, which is then validated by the network nodes. Blockchain facilitates fast, secure, low cost cross border or international payment processing services through the use of encrypted distributed ledger that provides real time verification of the transaction without the need of intermediaries such as the corresponding banks or clearing houses. And let's not confuse this with cryptocurrency like a Bitcoin, which is more being used as an asset than a form of currency to pay for goods. But cryptocurrencies, which are backed by various countries, regional or central banking system, definitely making a play in this commerce ecosystem. And as the technology and consumer preferences continues to evolve, there will be continued innovation in this space of digital money. And to wrap up, digital payments are the future, and we'll see payment methods transitioning more and more from physical cash to digital payment methods. And before this transition is complete, many new trends will appear, and some of the current ones will no longer exist. These trends and the innovations around this space will play a vital role in shaping our future payment experience. I hope many of our listeners, students, will be pioneers in innovating around this ever changing global commerce landscape. Thank you and take care.